It's a rainy night in Georgia. Rainy night in Georgia. I can see that it's raining all over the world. Duelambu myself, I hope you guys are good. This week we are in the Mitsubishi Outlander. Very outlandish, a very different car. A car that is very outlandish. So we need to get into it. Sorry, I just needed water and they brought me in a Mitsubishi. Like, give a mamba. Anyway, let's chat. So, I think the guys that brought the car forgot their water in here. Then I was like, "Nagi popi like you know me." But absolutely no beef to the brand that is on the water bottle. I was just joking, guys. Before you guys say I'm somehow, but I was just joking. But yeah. And anyway, let's get into the exterior of the Mitsubishi Outlander. To be honest, it's very outlandish, it's very different. Bit of a crazy design, but it's a crazy design you get used to because Japanese design cultures are very unorthodox. Look at Japanese manufacturers, look at Hondas, look at Mitsubishi, look at Toyota sometimes. They have a very different way of manufacturing vehicles. They have a very different way, and some of them are more, they never in between. It's either they super outlandish and super unorthodox, or they are very calm and clean design. So there's never an in between. And I think with Mitsubishi, they've gone that route of being very different in their design culture. So there's a lot going on in the front. You have your LEDs on top, then in the middle is the headlamps, then you have your fog lamps. So I get to panda namurago guy because there's so much happening. Like, who busy? Like, who like, I don't understand it. But when I walk out and see it every morning, I'm like, it's actually not that bad. It's not aggressive to look at, or it's not a pain to look at. It's not painful to look at. It's a very nice looking, different, weird car, on the front. On the rear, it has a bit of a more cleaner design, so it softens up from the front, so it's a bit more calming on the back, and I think it's a very pretty vehicle. It's a very, very nice vehicle in its own right. You have a ground clearance of 210 millimeters, and I think it sits on 20-inch wheels. So obviously these wheels, now that they're that big, you'll think that no, it's actually very, very uncomfortable to drive and whatever, but we'll get into that. And I do like the rim of the rims of this car, and I think it has a very nice stance. I think it's a car also that in traffic people will be like, what is that? So in terms of the exterior, I'm not too dazed. I think it looks fine. It looks crazy fine. And now we move on to the interior of the Mitsubishi Outlander, and I think it's a very nice interior to be in. You have this infotainment system screen, albeit small, it's very functional, and the fact that it has conventional buttons and a conventional volume knob is a 10 out of 10 for me. I really like how it's well laid out. It's very simple on the inside. So obviously the extravagant front, that design does not come into here. It's a bit more calmer in here, a bit more serene. Your climate control menu, also functional buttons and conventional knobs, which I'm absolutely grateful for. I'm really happy about that. You have a really cool gear lever over here, which I find to be actually quite nice and easy to use. Very clean layout here, sort of like a Land Rover, Range Rover kind of layout here on the center console. You do have a place to rest your arm, and it also has some storage space. You have a multifunction steering wheel, which I actually think is really nice. And I think my favorite feature is the digital display, this digital cluster up in front of me, because the rev counter is also this swivel gear thing, this little round thing. It looks so cool, same as the speedometer, and it's so easy to maneuver across this digital cluster. So I think as an interior, it's so well laid out. You have quilted seats, quilted stitching on the seats, you have it on the door panels, and it's actually surprisingly nice. I got into it and I was like, Mitsubishi, is this you, my baby? Is this you? You guys were cooking. The stove was on flipping 15, man. Unless you guys were cooking Kaprama stove for 8 what they were cooking when they did this interior. I like it. I'm very happy with it. And you have ample space. You have memory seats, guys. You have memory seats. There's space in the front, there's space in the rear. It is a 7-seater configuration, so you do have an extra row of seats at the back. But yeah, I think interior-wise, they did very, very well. I mean, you have this white roof lining. You guys know me and white roof linings. The only reason I'm not a big fan is because of the dirt, but they also open up the car a lot. So you get more light in and more, more. It looks like it's just a little bigger. But I do think that with this car, you're not really getting that effect because it feels like you still feel a little bit cramped. I still feel a bit cramped in this interior. But actually, other than that, it's actually very nice to be in. It's very enjoyable to be in. I've just clocked 10,000 Ks on this car. Well, I didn't get it on 0, but 10,002, yay, milestone. But yeah, interior, absolutely great. Keeping with the interior, so I kind of was tinkering around with it, and I lifted the third row of seats. I think it's best for kids, not like fully fledged humans, so I think it's best for kids. And I do think that the sound system in here is actually quite decent, given that it's a standard sound system. It does not harsh on the ears. It's just a normal sound system, so I think you'll enjoy it, given what the car is like. You also have a glass sunroof going on here. I do like a lot of things about it, and I think this car is just well manufactured. So let's get into the drive of the Mitsubishi Outlander. So this vehicle is powered by a 2.5 liter petrol engine that produces 135 kilowatts and 245 newton meters of torque, mated to a 8-speed CVT. CVT. And when it comes to CVTs, a lot of petrol heads and a lot of journals don't like them because they just whine a lot and they just but actually this one is surprisingly quiet. It's a very enjoyable and serene drive. I think the power figures are okay. I mean, for a car of its size, it's okay. It's just that let's just go. Okay, now I'm here to serve a purpose. I'm not trying to be fast. I ain't trying to be slow. It doesn't feel underpowered. Overtaking also seems very seamless, especially on highway driving. It's actually very nice to drive, and I find it to be a very quiet drive because I put my foot down. The whining is not, man. It doesn't whine as bad as other CVTs. It actually does not. So I'm actually very impressed with it. Mitsubishi claims a fuel consumption of 8.1 liters per 100 Ks. I'm currently doing 8.5. And yeah, it's a bit of a guzzler. And why is it a guzzler? Because it has super all-wheel control, which is basically Mitsubishi's fancy way of saying all-wheel drive. And permanent all-wheel drive systems, you will kind of get very high consumption figures, right? You have several drive modes over here. You have eco, normal, you have tar, you have dust, you have storm, you have snow, you have wet, you have so many drive features, and you have tarmac, gravel, normal tarmac, gravel, snow, mud, and what? Yeah, so you have quite a lot of driving modes in this car. So obviously, it in terms of it being an all-wheel drive car, that's where it allows for people to have comfort on road, which is it's very guaranteed. It's a very comfortable car to drive, and you also get a lot of capability off-road. I only did light gravel with it. I'm sorry to burst you guys' bubble, but I only did light gravel with this car, and I found it to actually be able to tackle that light gravel very seamlessly. So I think in terms of how everything is set up, there's a lot of synergy and a lot of understanding between all the components of the car. Everything about it, everything works well together. Even the CVT doesn't feel clunky or cumbersome. It's actually very enjoyable and actually very nice to drive. So in terms of the way everything is set up. Okay, so let's get into the verdict and the pricing of this vehicle. So the pricing of the Mitsubishi Outlander for the GLS variant, which is the entry, you can get it for 759,000 Rand. And then for the Aspire model, which is slots above it, it's 789,000 Rand. So just under 800,000 Rand for this car. And I do think that it's a lot of money. Guys, driving around Joburg is so dazing because, you're trying to film and then someone's trying to sell you something. Like, I think I'm around Sunning Hill. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I think under 800,000 Rand, obviously you guys are going to be like, oh, who's going to buy a Mitsubishi for 800,000 Rand? I mean, I feel like this car is actually very underrated and it should be more prominent in the streets. Because it's actually a very good car. I don't think it's a bad car at all. I mean, it's well built. Build quality is great. Mitsubishi has a great reputation in the country, and I think it should be given a fighting chance. So I think for the money, sure, I would recommend it, right? But there's obviously other cars you can look at that are not necessarily direct rivals to this one. I think this one's direct rival is the Honda CR-V. So it's the Honda CR-V that is its proper rival. With this one, obviously, you can get other cars. You can probably get like a T-Roc, you can get a Tiguan, you can get a Kia Sportage, you can get a Nissan Qashqai, Haval, Cherry. You know, you can get so many cars under the sun for this price point. But for when I speak about the car on its own, I think it is kind of worth the money, having lived with it and having experienced it. It's so jarring when I pass by Luko because right across so I always ask myself, bumzala kamu Luko, like it's always jarring for me. But anyway, I think the car is actually really, really, really good for the money. The asking money, I think it's fine. I think it kind of makes up for what they're asking for. Everything is here. Fuel consumption obviously will be high because of the all-wheel drive system. You have a nice infotainment system. You're gonna be different from the rest when you buy this car. No one's gonna say anything. It's a Mitsubishi. It's great, guys. Mitsubishi's last forever. So I think it's worth the money. I think it's a very, very good car. And I think people should look out for it, you know? I mean, I think as South Africans, we're very brand loyal. So we'd rather pay more for a brand or a manufacturer that everyone loves or everyone is accustomed to, you know, and everyone has a good affiliation with, as opposed to something that's it's a bit of an outlier. I mean, it's called the Outlander for a reason. It's an outlier. It's gonna be very different. But I think overall, it's a very great car. So my ultimate verdict of the Mitsubishi Outlander is that it is an absolutely great vehicle. I think it's worth the asking price. Albeit consumption is a bit high, and considering fuel cost, this might not be the perfect daily. I think in terms of build quality, the interior, the drive of the car, everything, the way everything is set up, it's very commendable, and I think it's absolutely an excellent car in its own right. And I think you guys should give it a chance. If you're looking for something that's completely different, I think this is your guy, and I don't think you'll regret making this purchase. Yes, it looks a bit different. Yes, it's a bit unorthodox. Mara, guys, you know, on this channel, if you can't get a thing, then it's sharp. So I can't have a little spacey, sharp. So you mustn't stress. So yeah, guys, I'll fully give the Mitsubishi Outlander a solid, let's give it an 8. It's an excellent car, and I think they did very well. Right now, yeah, and that is it from me, Boma Sava. Thank you so much for watching. We are almost at 11,000 subscribers, guys. This is so crazy. I cannot believe the love that you guys are giving me. I cannot believe the support. It's so jarring for me. I'm like, oh, remember a few years back, subscriber now we are just one big family. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Watch those ads. Watch the ads. Watch the ads. Super thanks. My birthday is in a few weeks, so I can do with anything and everything. All the little donations you guys can send, so I can buy myself gifts and maybe go to Cape Town to a wine farm. You know, because there's no one to take me. There's no one to say, hey, Riba, you know, I've booked an all-expenses trip. Let's go to Cape Town and dang! There's no Mr. Escas, as someone said on Twitter. There's no Mr. Escas. So, anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Boma Seve, all my love.